How you doing? It's Howard again with Scholar Painting. We're here in Meriden, Connecticut, at another tower project at the Meriden City Hall. And as you can see in back of me, this is the weather vane. Over here is the top. Up top is there was an eagle that was on the top that blew off, so we're going to be replacing that. And right below me is the gold dome. We're going to be, hopefully they put in an approval, and we'll be starting a gold gilding on that. From there, we're going to start working our way down. We've got some other things going on, and we're going to take a look at what we got going on down below me. Here we are at the level just below the weather vane. As you can see, the gold dome, it's in kind of sad shape here. It could definitely use some new gilding. Hopefully they approve that and we can apply it properly. And as you can see up on top, we have copper flashing. We also have copper flashing on the sides. We have urns, which are in back of me here, which are copper urns. These are all going to be, these have been all cleaned up already. They've been scraped down, sanded. We're going to be applying a Procryl, direct-to-metal primer, and then 2 coats of a nice finish. Make these look brand new again. And as you can see up on the top up here, there's acorns, which are going to be getting the same treatment pretty much all the way around. And if you follow me around to the front here, you can see this area has been pretty much prepped here. And then if you pan the camera up over here, you can see where there's going to be some replacement pieces that have to be reordered. This is special order wood. It's Western red cedar. Pretty expensive stuff, so we want to make sure that we get the right stuff and we get it done right the first time. And again, we'll be reapplying paint, finish. We'll be recaulking all of the joints and grooves in here. There's going to be some epoxy repair that's going to be done. We use a 2-part Avatron epoxy for this process. It's actually a 4-part. It's a 2-part resin and a 2-part putty mixture. When we go down below, you'll see George will be applying some resin, and you can kind of see how that process goes in order for us to achieve what we want to do without having to replace things. Right, so here we are on the clock level. This is where the top of the columns begin, and take a good look at this clock face here. What we're going to be doing with the clock face is it's mostly metal and wood, so we'll be stripping the metal down to a subsurface that we can apply a Procryl applied to it after we use a rust inhibitor, and we use some mineral spirits and water to clean everything up nice. And then we plan on doing the same thing with the hands on the clock and the numbers and all the detail work. So that'll be a little bit of a process, but it's going to look brand new when we get it done. We're not touching the clock faces themselves because they are opaque and see-through, and we want to make sure we keep that same consistency going forward. What we really try not to do is we try not to replace anything. We try to repair and restore as much as we can, because with these old buildings, this building was built in 1901, I believe, and there's a lot of history here. We try to keep the history as much as possible. And here we are at the bottom of the columns that we just came from the top, and we moved down a couple of levels. Now we're at the bottom of the columns, and as you can see, some of these columns, they're in bad shape. They're out of whack here. We're going to try a couple different things. One of the first things we're going to try to pop these back into place with a ratchet strap. I'm going to put a ratchet strap on, a couple of 2x4s, see if we can get these into some kind of better order than what they are. And then we're going to apply, as you can see, George started to apply the 2-part epoxy on this column and the column to my right here. And what this is we put the resin in ahead of time, and then we come back in with the putty, we smooth it all in, we sand it out, and you can run your hand on this now, and it looks just like the original column. So we're hoping that we could pop these back into place. If not, we will be doing this second method here. And with that, again, we will also be cleaning up the column. You can see we applied a little bit of epoxy here to kind of get this lip here, and then we will use a tool. We usually cut down some plastic knives, and we'll tool this in nice and smooth it out, and so that way by the time we're finished, we'll get something that looks like the original one. And as you can see, I'm going to point at these capitals to my left here. As you can see, this one in particular is really deteriorated. Sorry, that was the bell. It's really been deteriorated over the years with moisture getting built up in back of it. So what we're going to try and do, they almost look like they've been melted right off. So we're going to clean these up good. We're going to brush them down. We're going to apply some resin to them and try to do the same thing with the epoxy formula. Tool them in nice once we get the epoxy hardened up a little bit, and see if we can kind of recreate some of these Nautilus effects on it without having to do too much more damage to them, because the last thing we want to do is do any more damage. They're pretty much deteriorated now. And then with this, down below you'll see this column. This one is deteriorated to, it can't be salvageable. So what we're going to do with that is we're going to stabilize this. We're going to put some structure in underneath here to stabilize this. We're going to yank this column out, and then we're going to have a crane come in, and we're going to have a crane drop another one right in for us right here. Re-secure it, reband it, make it secure, better than it's ever been, and hopefully it'll last 100 years. We're down inside of the actual clock. Now, as you can see, this is the clock mechanism, and these are the gears that slowly rotate. If you look closely, you can see them slowly rotating. And when it gets to the hour hand, this mechanism right below you kicks in, and it moves the bell, which is down below us, which triggers the bell to clang for the amount of time it's supposed to. And this mechanism is probably from maybe in the 1920s somewhere, I would guess. It was probably replaced at one time by a manual one. And it's all electric, and it actually controls all of the clock faces as well as the bell below me. And it's about 5 minutes off, but they're going to come up and they're going to make an adjustment to it, so that way we're back on time with it once everything is put back in order.